stuff, so we'll move on. What else was I going to say? Oh, I was going to tell you a little bit about me, just if you care. I have been here for about 8 years. Before that, I was at Cy-Fair ISD as a buyer for food service, and I was actually here before that when there was no Choice Partners and we had a food co-op. It was called Gulf Coast Food Co-op. So I have about probably 17 years experience in procurement and child nutrition. So just a little bit about me. Hopefully today y'all learned something, especially if you're new and this is your first time having a contract with us. Oh, see, y'all make me do too much stuff. Why isn't this one working? It's not working. Okay, sorry about that. Oh, they did. Okay. All right. So this is these are our people. These is our whole staff, except for Melissa. She's new with me, and so it wasn't in this picture, but this was our our COVID Christmas picture. So this was back in December. So instead of everybody's kind of staying away from each other. So that's kind of how we did it this year. We've got about 19 employees. We have some field reps that go out and about and meet with members and vendors throughout the state. And we have some people from client engagement, kind of our marketing department. One of them, Janet, you'll meet later today. Okay, am I gonna? I got it. Ooh, went too fast. Okay, so this is for those of you that are new, we of course didn't have it last year because of COVID. So what we do is we have a annual nutrition and product expo, and then we also have a product expo. Well, they call it a vendor exhibit. So this year's theme is, we're kind of doing it like a 50s theme. The food one is going to be more of like a cafeteria diner theme from the 50s. And then the other one is going to be more rock around the vendor show. So most of you here will attend, if you would like to, you will attend the vendor show. So it is geared towards pretty much like purchasing departments and I guess maintenance and operation. My show, the food show, is more child nutrition directors and their staff. And we also have students that are involved. We're doing a little different this year. We've never done it back to back and we've never done it the same venue. So what's the date? I always get the wrong. So the 5th is we have set up at the Humboldt Civic Center for the food show. Then on that evening, we do I think we're calling it Director's Appreciation Dinner. So it's a time for, if you are interested, it's for additional sponsorship. So basically what we do is we invite some of the local directors, maybe some assistant directors, some maintenance operation people, some purchasing directors to a dinner. And it's just our way of saying, thank you for all your due. Thank you for supporting Choice. Thank you for supporting the vendors that are sponsoring it. The 6th is the food show. And then the next day is going to be the vendor exhibit. So you probably should have received a save the date on some of these. If not, we're hoping in the next couple of weeks, we will send out the link for the booth registration. We're using a new platform. It's like online registration. So it's been a learning experience and we're still getting it set up. So you should receive a link. The booths are normally like $400 a booth. And depending on if you use a credit card, because there's a credit card fee if you use credit. And then on the vendor exhibit side, there are some different levels. So you would pay more like if you wanted, I think it's platinum or gold or something. But you'll see all that when you get the information. But it is a great event. It is usually highly attended. But I don't know. With COVID, who knows? We're hoping it's going to be great. We're hoping we don't have to cancel it. Everything keeps moving forward. So. And this is just a little bit about kind of what we're going to do today. Here's the little agenda. Just I guess Jeff is going to speak. So he's going to talk a little bit about Choice Partners, who we are, how we're a part of Harris County Department of Education. We're going to go over some procurement legal requirements. You get to see my face again for about a minute to talk about the food contracts. And then Janet will get up and talk about kind of growing your business. She'll talk to you about how to walk yourself through the website. And then last but not least, Stephen will get up and talk about job ordering contracts. The one food person, I told him he could leave if he wanted to, because it doesn't pertain to him unless he wanted to learn about it. And then afterwards is lunch. And it is also a good time, if you do not know who your contract manager is, to find out who it is and meet that person. And if you don't know who it is, we will help you find that person. Okay, so once again, welcome you here. If you have any questions, please let us know. Thank you again. And now it's Jeff.
Good morning. Is this working at all?
That's for online.
Oh, it's for online. It's for all you people out in virtual land. Okay, sorry. I guess if we have people here, maybe Joanne or others online, just make sure that you can hear me there. I know everybody in the room can hear me. I can't tell you how excited I am to see people, to see human beings. And I already said it a couple of times, and don't take it wrong. It's good to see and touch and talk to people one-on-one. Now, I know there's a lot of folks in virtual land and you're across many, many states. We'd love to have you here also, but everybody's got certain limitations. So hopefully we'll help everyone learn a little bit more about Choice Partners. I'm Jeff Drury, the Senior Director. I apologize if I didn't walk around and say hello. I know a lot of familiar faces that I know from times gone by, and a lot of faces I have no idea. Please, if you're not in a big hurry, say hello afterwards. As Tricia said, talk to your contract manager, say hello to me. I'd love to say hello to you. Or Joanne, Stephen, some of our subject matter experts that are very, very good in some of the fields. Joanne's good at everything. Stephen's good at everything also, but he's a jock expert, as we've talked about. And so we'd love to have you stay and visit you. We're not trying to run you out the door at whatever, 12:15 or 12:30 or whatever. So please, we're here. If you take one thing away, just we're here to help you. That's our one mission in life. We want to help you increase your business and help our members work more efficiently and get more work done, get good competitive prices, and help you become a partner with the people that utilize our contracts. Okay, so win-win-win. The contract, I think a lot of you guys know why you got the contract. I'm sure there's probably, I'm not going to even ask for hands if there's a salesperson or a marketing person in here that says, oh, my boss said to come and I don't really know why I'm there, what I'm doing. There's probably one or two, but don't tell me about that, okay? Hopefully you get something out of this and we help you. I'm going to try. I know everybody back there that we work with is doubtful, but I'm going to try and speed it up a little bit. You hear all the chuckles back there? So, but these are a lot of the sectors that are our members, really your customers. We're going to use the term member all the time, vendor, member. Vendors, everybody knows what a vendor is. We use the term member as customers or people that have signed on to become a member of Choice Partners. Okay, and kind of just some of you, I know some of this is review. I'm sorry, I don't know if I'm where I'm supposed to stand. Is that good, Joanne? Okay. I have a tendency to kind of roam, but this may be a review for a number of folks in the room, but I see a lot of new faces, and some people may already know JOC or may even work with other co-ops. There's a lot of good co-ops out there. But this is kind of the triangle, we call it, how business happens. Basically, you've got us as Choice Partners, which is Choice Partners / HCDE, Harris County Department of Ed. We'll talk about that in just a second. You've got the member we just talked about, which is our member, your customer, people that are going to actually pay your bills and help send your kids to college and pay your electricity bill, things like that. And then we've got the awarded vendor, which is everyone in the room and watching virtually. And basically there's an interlocal agreement that's signed between two governmental entities. Choice Partners is actually the lead agency, and we're also we're the cooperative, but we are a division of the lead agency, which is Harris County Department of Education. This interlocal agreement has to be executed between two governmental entities, of which or not-for-profits also. I'm going to use the term governmental entity because it's easier. Just assume that you know what we're talking about. So governmental entity, and then Harris County Department of Ed, which is the parent company, if you will, of Choice Partners, is the other governmental entity. That allows the sharing of contracts. That allows us to basically do the RFP instead of school district, whatever, doing the RFP, and makes life a whole lot easier and a whole lot quicker and more efficient for these guys. Also, from getting to designing or scope and spec or a request and actually getting shovels in the ground or getting material delivered, things like that at good prices. So then there's the awarded contract, which is the reason that everyone is either in the room or on virtually, is you've gone through the vetting process, and there's just absolutely no question that we do a very good legal and competitive process. We just don't have issues with anyone using our contracts. I always like to say as a tagline, there are a lot of co-ops out there. There's probably 70, 80 or more, 90% of them are smaller than us. There are some that are bigger than us. We say we're not the biggest, but we like to say we're the best, and we'll keep that mantra going, and you'll see it with everything we talk about. And the awarded contract is what allows you to take that piece of paper and go out and work with our members. And then we also, especially in the construction world, and there's probably some technology folks in here also, everybody's got their own EULA, EULA, end user license agreement, their own deal that they do with customers a lot. We suggest supplemental contracts or separate service contracts executed by and between the vendor and the member outside of our contract is a method of procurement. It's not a catch-all for every single kind of terms and conditions that may arise. And we'll talk about some of the other folks will talk about that later also. So I mentioned HCDE once or twice. You know us as Choice Partners. You'll see Choice Partners branded everywhere, but you'll also see the HCDE. Sorry about that real quick. You'll also see the HCDE logo, which is Harris County Department of Education. And we're basically here in Harris County, the largest county in the state, I think the third largest in the United States, if I'm not mistaken. And HCDE has been around for a couple of years, 1889. And we're also a taxing authority. Any of you folks that pay Harris County taxes, you'll see a line on there that says HCDE. It's probably about $10 a year or something. It's very, very small. It's not like the ISD taxes. And so HCDE has a number of programs or divisions that they do. And I'll just highlight us, and I'll talk a little bit about some of the other ones, but I'm trying to be, for brevity, I'm trying to catch up just a little bit on time. But there are a number of divisions that we might call bigger or higher profile divisions, maybe, that are we call more the pillars, if you will, the 5 listed here. They do a lot of adult education, Case for Kids, after school enrichment, Head Start, 25, 27 Head Start locations. A lot of them are in conjunction with some of the large HISDs, some of the large school districts, even at some of their locations. Special schools for trouble or special needs children or dependency issues, therapy services. Within the county of Harris County, I think as far as a therapist or diagnostician or whatever working in any school district in the county of Harris County, I believe about 54% of the therapists working in Harris County are HCDE employees that are deployed at all the different schools. So we're entrenched on the HCDE side very, very much with a lot of the K-12 and things like that schools. And then a number of other divisions. Choice Partners, we're 43 states, where there may be I don't know, Wyoming or a Delaware or something that we may not be in, and I'm not trying to be disparaging to those states. I'm just picking them. But we're a true national cooperative. I know there's a number of people virtually that you may be in Ohio or Florida or whatever. And believe me, we've got vendors and we've got members coast to coast. Okay, I don't know if I caught up much, but I tried. And I'm going to turn it over to Steve Gibson. Steve's one of our contract managers, and he'll talk a little bit about legal. And we're going to encourage him to look up and not read
Not read my notes?
Yes.
Don't count.
Anyway.
All right. That's the clicker. Okay, let me get this thing on. All right, so real quick question. I've been here since February 2020. A lot of y'all, if I'm your contract manager, I may not know your face. How many of y'all are on one of my contracts? Awesome. Okay, I know Butch. Okay, and great. And you are? Oh, I'm so glad to see you and congratulations. I really loved reading your proposal. I'm glad to have you and thank you. And yeah, I really appreciate, it's good to see everybody. And even if you're not on my contract, if I can ever help you, if you ever have a question on what you can do, we all look at the same files. We can all get information and we can usually answer, questions pretty quickly. If we need to help out a member on your behalf, I'm very glad to do that. But let me go down and move forward on introductions. So my name is Steve Gibson. I've worked in purchasing for about 20 years. I've been in the position of your customers. I've been a buyer. I speak their language and I can translate for you. So just kind of keep that in mind. When your customer tells you, hey, can you quote us the Choice Partners contract? Do you know how to translate that? What that really means? Because I can tell you as a buyer, when I say that to someone I want to buy from, that's giving them the signal, just quote us the contract and you got the sale. That's what that means. And you need to be in tune with all your other sales reps, because when they get those government customers, they need to hear and they need to understand that keyword. Ding, 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 ding. Okay, this is a good sale. This is a done sale. We don't want to drag this out. Find out what they want as quickly as possible. Quote it. Write the contract number on that quote. And you got this. So keep in mind, that is a benefit of using a co-op. We make things easier. That being said, it's my wish that the things that I say can save you some time, save your people some frustration, and also save your customers some time and some frustration. And one thing I like to say is, when you're going skydiving, you don't need to use a parachute. You do need to use a parachute if you want to go skydiving twice. Keep that in mind. So for today, the things I'm going to talk about are the legal side of Choice Partners in your contract, how to keep that contract in compliance, and how to promote that contract. Just basically, Janet's going to deal in a lot deeper than that, but I do want to mention just basic nuts and bolts about it, how to use that to quickly gain your sales too. So the first thing, I want y'all to imagine a layer cake. And on this layer cake, there's about 4 different layers. All right. Each layer would represent an order of benefit. So first order, first layer, help the customer. Second order, help the customer get what they want. Third part, help the customer get what they want from you. And then the last part, because I know y'all have those 3 mastered already. Help the customer get what they want from you legally according to their needs. That is what the Choice Partners contract offers to them. It's a sense of security for them, and it's going to help them a lot. So if your salespeople are struggling and they're wondering, what the heck is this co-op contract? I don't know how to do it. Just remember that 4th layer, legally according to their needs, because it's not legally according to your needs. You can sell things all day long. You can do that legally. But for them to buy from you legally, they have to do it according to certain parameters and laws, and they have to follow all that. So remember, it's on them, it's not on you. But if you help them get what they want through that, it's a lot quicker and easier for them. I also say that, and just a reminder, you might need to educate some of your customers who are government members, because I guarantee you the folks in purchasing are becoming more and more familiar with how cooperative contracts work. and they're becoming more and more familiar with Choice Partners. But your people in the fields and in the division offices and your maintenance staff, they might not know or care. The thing to remember is this is an easy way and can save you all some time. And if you train your people to say that, we have an existing pre-bid contract. Y'all can piggyback off of it. It's with Choice Partners. They do all the ISDs. This can really help your stakeholder. And when they bring that quote to the purchasing department, if you've got that contract referenced on it, it's usually a pretty easy deal. And you might not even, they might not even have to go out for other quotes. They may. We can't prevent them from doing so, but they may not have to. So Choice Partners provides legally procured contracts. Well, what does that mean? What is it to them and what is it to you? I hope I kind of went into what the difference is. But why is it important? And the main reason, very simple, it relates to the direct need and job security of your customer. So the first rule of purchasing for government is that there must be a means of procurement. That means of procurement has to be something other than, I like his face, or I can't stand who I'm doing business with right now. I can't stand him. That's not a sufficient means to just say we're changing vendors. They have to have some way of discerning. Choice Partners does that in advance of their needs. We have these contracts, they're available. You have them, you can use them, and you can ask them, why don't you use this contract? This will save you all some time, and it's usually a done deal. Talk to your purchasing department. So anyway, that's the first rule of purchasing. There has to be a method. Yes, ma'am.
When you say we're going to save them time, could you elaborate on that exactly how?
Yeah, absolutely. They don't have to go over for quotes. Oh, thanks, Janet. I forget, I have to repeat the question. I was asked, when you say you save them time, how exactly do you do that? Okay, good question. We save them time because the competitive bidding process has already been completed in advance. When you quote your customer the Choice Partners contract, it's already there. The pricing's already there. You don't have to go through that process. You have to find out what they need, but you do not have to do it, and they do not have to go out for competitive quotes or issue their own RFP in most cases.
Can you elaborate on what the timeline might look like if they had to do it themselves, and how that saves time compared to?
Right. The question is, hey, Steve, can you elaborate on what the timeline looks like if they have to do it themselves? So let's take a fairly complex procurement. They have to establish a need, develop a specification for that need. They have to source that need. They have to, find the contact information and reach out to all those vendors. If it's an expensive need, they're going to have to publicly advertise that need. And then they're going to have to receive responses at a certain time. That timeline could be as much as 90 days before they have that need identified and before they can make that purchase. For smaller orders, it's probably going to be less. But if it's a bigger order, their rules is they have to go out and basically treat every supplier the same, and they have to ensure that they are following all these rules. That can take a lot of time. Have I answered your question, man? Thank you so much.
It actually takes 6 to 9 months. Whereas you can do the work tomorrow under one of these contracts.
Okay. Stephen Kendrick in the back is saying that in a lot of cases, and especially if you've got something in the construction arena, it can take 6 months. So it can be a lot longer. Okay, so why does it take so long? Well, let's look at this. Well, let's go to my next slide here. So whoops, back one. There it is. So we have all these laws, which we kind of have to follow, you know, and you have different laws. Those laws all apply to different entities for different stuff, for different categories of stuff. And they have applications that apply to different spend levels. $50,000 a year. If you're spending $50,000 a year in a particular category, that means that whole thing has to be approved by the board in advance and put into the budget. So you also have local, state, federal laws. In certain purchases, you have grant funding provisions. In other words, they say, we're going to give you this money, but if you want to use this money, you got to follow our rules. And they're going to be making sure that competitive procurement is part of that. You also have the operating policies of the ISD or the government entity you're going to be working with. Those are all going to be a little bit different depending on your customer. I think the ISDs are going to be fairly similar. But before I came here, I worked for a river authority. I can tell you our purchasing was completely different. I can also tell you the Choice Partners contract was good and covered all my bases, and I didn't have any concerns.
I have a quick question. I'm sorry.
Sir.
For an entity that's not in Choice Partners, you talked about how long it takes to contract, but how long would it take a non-member to become, to sign that interlocal agreement?
Thank you. I appreciate you asking that. No, I'm going to repeat it. That's good. So Mr. Foley asked, how long does it take somebody to become a member if they're not a member? The answer is very fast. They go to a URL that has become a member in it. They fill out a quick form. They submit it. Interlocal agreements will pop up. We have one for in-state. We have one for out-of-state. In-state, we require an interlocal agreement. However, once they sign it, send it over to it, we will make them effective. And then we'll have it ratified or approved at our next board meeting. So that can take as quick as a day or so. Now, if they're out of state, it's just dependent on their rules and their laws if they have to do an interlocal or not. So it might be even quicker if they're out of state in some cases. The other thing, and it's something, if you go on choicepartners.org, you can obtain a list of all our members. It's all on one page. It's sortable. You can find out by state, and you will be able to find out if they're a member. So the person you're talking to, you're on the phone, click over to the website, look at the list of members, you'll find them there if they are a member. Because the other thing is your stakeholder might not know. Remember, not everybody really understands the purchasing game. Yes, ma'am.
And I just want to say, the reason you're getting all these questions is this is really important and great information. So I'm sorry we're taking this time. But it's good.
Don't worry. We love that.
The reason we're here is that
The question is, yeah, it's like, this is important information we really want to understand. So
So my question is, I work with some ISDs, and one of them, I just spoke about this and he said, no, we do da 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 da. Can you tell us why someone has chosen not to do you guys, so I can be prepared for that and able to come back?
okay, most certainly, I certainly can. There are different, as Jeff alluded to. Oh, thank you. The question is, why do some entities have choice partners and why do others have different entities? Okay, so ISDs, we're very strong in ISDs. I want to say that we probably have most of the ISDs in Texas. However, we're not the only cooperative out there, and you have different cooperatives. So their reasons for using a particular cooperative can depend on other factors. The main one should be how well they address their needs. So Choice Partners is so heavily vested in education, since Harris County Department of Education, we cover the education code really, really well. We cover all the important government regulations, but if you're in education, we're going to have you covered, whether you're a college or a university. Now, the other thing they might look at is the pool of vendors. So if you are, let's say, a river authority, then we might not have all your categories covered. So ma'am, if you don't mind, can I ask what area? You work in technology. Okay. So you would be able to sell technology basically to all vendors, right? Okay. So you keep in mind that the membership and your category, those two alignments are going to be primary most of the time. Now, there are some other reasons, but it really depends on your customer and also how particular they want to do. I can't tell you with other co-ops may not follow the laws as closely as Choice Partners does. Some of them may not have the service abilities that others. So you have some small ones where you can't get a quote reviewed or you can't get customer service. So where Choice Partners excels is kind of adherence to the laws and also the services. You will get an answer if you call us. Okay. So, why do all these laws exist? Kind of second rule of purchasing: free and open competition, getting rid of bid rigging and anything nefarious going on, impartial evaluation. We have to treat everybody the same, and getting to the best value. And these entities, it's the whole goal. They're supposed to procure for their best value. If they're not doing that, they're not a good steward of public funds, as I would say. And it gets a little bit complicated. So before it was two people just making a deal, a handshake deal, and send me a PO, send me an order, I'll get you that. Now you've kind of got this checklist of all these things. The reason the Choice Partners contract is important is because it kind of eliminates that checklist from your consideration. To a certain extent, it eliminates it from the members' consideration because they're aware of it and they know it checks all those boxes and applies to all these laws. So I just say, put yourself in the shoes of your customer. How can you help them? And what are they afraid of? What do they not want to do? What do they want to be careful of? So go back to your layer cake and that fourth level, help them get what they want from you legally for them. If that buyer skips his due diligence and doesn't complete some of those steps, they have some risk to them. They have some risk that they could get in trouble and embarrassed in an audit. They could lose their job. So if you take care of your customers' basic needs, I just want to say, in their worst fears, they will rely on you over and over again. Jeff's telling me to hurry up, so I'm going to kind of skip most of my slides here. I do want to mention some of the benefits to your business in using the Choice Partners and encouraging it. You have a pre-qualification factor. You have a secure and confident customer. It's fast. You have a very homogeneous target market. You get the sales before they are bid out, and you get those sales that are never bid out. And it's easy. I say that if you train your staff to use it properly. So further legal stuff, Choice Partners is a piggyback contract, and that is made possible by this law 271 and by this law 7091. 271 says that if you're using a co-op, basically that satisfies all state rules for competitive bidding. 791 says basically, it says that governments don't have to reinvent the wheel every time they want to buy something. Okay, so I think I've covered our membership. Remember, 90% of our membership is in education. A large percentage of those are ISDs. About 70% geographically are in Texas. We also have municipalities, counties, other government entities, and nonprofit entities. Okay. Any questions? I'm going to move along pretty fast because I know I'm taking a little bit longer than I probably should. There are some things that we do to satisfy federal requirements, those outside of Texas that are even more stringent than what we have in state law. Choice Partners does that. One of the things that we have is called the EDGARs. It's the Education Department General Administrative Requirements. That also covers 2 CFR 200 for federal rules. One of the things we do that not everybody will do is that we'll conduct an independent estimate prior to putting something out to bid. We'll advertise it. We'll encourage small and minority businesses and women-owned businesses. We'll obtain just a laundry list of certifications to make that contract compliant. And we'll, after we evaluate before we award, we will do a cost price analysis on that. And that will satisfy the federal requirements. We also are compliant with the United States Department of Agriculture and the Texas Department of Agriculture for our school food business, which is a sizable part of our contracts as well. So in summary to that, Choice Partners always applies the most restrictive rules that applies to the needs of the vast majority of our members. Let me move to the next slide here. For contracts, these are kind of the categories that we have. So we have food, technology, commodities, supplies, facilities and construction. And what is the bell? Services. Okay, I didn't remember that, but that's ring the bell when you need some. So my contracts are educational materials. I do a lot of services as well. And I do a good bit of commodities as well. Just another note that we do have a supply catalog. And this supply catalog will be very interesting if you are doing a lot of commodity type items that you sell to schools where they're basically buying the same thing over and over again. This is a good contract to come off to apply for if you are super reliable and super competitive in that arena. It's a hard bid catalog. And it's single awards. The member can go online and they can basically click an item and buy it just as if they were purchasing on Amazon. It's valid for 2 years, and like I say, it's price competitive, so it's definitely one of the best value things for commodities. Last thing I'm going to cover today, we'll go on to our checklist. This is basically our thing, how it works. Awarded, you've got the procurement, admin fee, reporting, and invoicing. I always think of it as get, promote, sell, report, pay. And it's basically how you maintain the contract. So promotion of the contract is required. Sales of the contract is required. Reporting is required. You must report those sales where the member says, we want you to quote that Choice Partners contract. You make that sale, you have to itemize it and report. Therefore, it's really important that you have, a system of communication in your agency that those transactions make it to the person that reports that. So they got to be identified and moved over. That's no easy job for a lot of businesses, but that's one of the key things. Members also report. Yes, sir. Question.
Back on your last slide, you don't have to change it, but as a vendor, are you automatically included in that catalog?
No, sir. The question was, I'm a Choice Partners vendor, am I in the supply catalog? You have to go after a particular contract for the supply catalog. I see Christy walking up and she'll probably address that more, but a supply catalog is a particular type of contract. It is not all. Did you want to talk on supply catalog a little bit?
Close enough to you for the mic.
Yep.
The supply catalog, it's a 2-year contract for hard bid line items, and it goes out, we're going to be advertising it August 20th. So if you have anything in those commodities, there's 10 different areas. Just go to our website, take a look at the supply catalog, go through eBid on August 20th, and you'll be able to respond to those. It won't be awarded and live until April when the other one dies, but we go ahead and take it to our board early.
Okay. Thank you, Christy. I'm going to cover the reporting side of it. So this is what our basic reporting form looks like. It's very simple. Just send this to us if there are sales or if there are no sales. So reporting monthly is a contract requirement. That's something we always look at when we're considering renewing. If you're in JOC, this is what your reporting form will look like. That's done by project. And if you're in food, we have a different one, which looks just like this. I think these things are self-explanatory. I won't spend any time on them, but if you ever have a question on the reporting, let me know. Yes, sir. They are on the web. They are on the website. However, we're always glad to send you over one. Just shoot me an email. My email is steve@choicepartners.org. And I think I've covered just about everything I wanted to cover. If I had a final thought, don't wait for the school to contact you with an RFP. Make sure that they know that you have the contract, and it might not have to go to the RFP, because remember, once they've gotten an RFP together, they've already got a substantial time invested in that. They're probably going to want to, complete that process. Make sure they know who you are and what you do so they can buy from you without it. Yes, sir.
Who would you recommend we reach out to?
This is a good question. I want to let Janet address that, and she's going to speak. She's going to speak after Tricia. So I want you to ask that question of Janet. Okay. Any other questions for me? Thank you all very, very much. My name is Steve. My email is steve@choicepartners.org. Oh,
I need it.
did anybody see the Naked Gun where the guy walked into the restroom with the mic on while the Queen of England was speaking?
Yeah, let's not do that. Okay, I'm really, like I said, you'd see me again. We'll go really fast. And this is mainly for the people online, because there's quite a few food people online, vendors. Melissa's new, so I just want people to meet her. She's been here about since December. She came from our Head Start department. So she's a registered dietitian. So I just want people to be familiar with her face. Once again, she's all of our email address. She's melissa@choicepartners.org. I'm Tricia@choicepartners.org. So we're easy to get a hold of. This is just a list of our food contracts. And like Steve said earlier, all of our contracts follow USDA and Texas Department of Agriculture regulations. If you ever work with school districts in the child nutrition department, it is huge issue right now. Lots of stuff going on with that. So that's all I had to say. I said it'd be quick. So here's Janet. Janet's going to talk to you a little bit about the website and how to manage your contracts. I won't take it.
Good morning, everyone. I know my name's been bannered around a lot this morning, so I feel like I have these big boots I have to fill, Texas-sized boots, but y'all keep y'all's questions coming. It's great. The interaction is exactly what we're looking for. As Jeff said earlier, we're here for you. If you don't know how to utilize your contract, then it doesn't do any of us or our members any good. So I can jump right into mine, but what I want to do is address the question, sir. You had a question?
Yes. Who do you recommend we, communicate with at school district?
Okay, the question was, who do you communicate with at a school district? It will be one of the questions I go to. In fact, right here, get referrals from existing members, including within the same organization. So oftentimes we'll tell you, don't go to the superintendent. In a school district, he's not usually the decision maker when it comes to purchasing. He'll have a weigh-in, they'll listen to him, but the purchasing director, the purchasing department is a great place to start, but you never want to stay just there. You want to go down to the communications department, no, I'm sorry, technology department. And they'll have their own buying. They might even have their own purchaser within their division. They know exactly who they want to buy from, what they're looking for, and they don't want to rely on somebody in purchasing to do the technical needs they want. And I say that derogatorily because everybody kind of thinks nobody thinks the way they do. So the same thing, sir, if you were to go to the transportation department, they know what size tires they want, what weight of oil they want. Things like that are specific to that division. So it's good to have a rapport with each and every division or department within either a school district, college, university, municipality, and county. Y'all have all of that at your beck and call, plus any nonprofit. So just remember this, if any member that is a governmental entity or nonprofit is able to buy and purchase off of your contract. Now, if you come to a college or a university and you're not sure if they're not for profit, ask, because we have had that come up once or twice. There are a few that have a name that sound like they might be available to work with, but when I drilled down to them, it turned out they were definitely for profit. We can't deal with that. That's just the rules of the regulations for co-ops in this state, okay? So you have a wide array of people you can go talk to, and we want to make sure we do that. So the first thing you do is, where do you begin? If you're in sales, and just as a little background, I've been in sales almost all my life. So I tend to think like y'all do. So when I come to work, they go, what? You know, and so I kind of fit in and told them, I said, I got to get to the bottom line, or I need to get to the right person. And as Steve was saying too, the other thing is, you don't want to come in and take your product and ram it down their throat. That's not going to work. You don't come in and say, mine is the best big apple you see, and you got to use Choice Partners, and it's got to go this way. And people will just start backpedaling and going like, what? I don't think I can handle this, or I can't eat all that apple at one time. What you want to do is give them the benefits of what it is to go through a co-op. Many of them will know in advance, but there are some people out there that go, this idea of going through a third party is foreign to me. I feel like it's adding an extra layer that we don't need in sales. And I will tell you that for governmental entities, some nonprofits, but most governmental entities, particularly in the state of Texas, it's almost the only way to go now. They're getting it from the push from the top down. So if you come in and you offer them support in the front and say, we are legally and competitively bid, we can show you our due diligence online, which I will tell you that all your business is out there for them. Whatever your representative that responded to the RFP put on your response, your RFP response, it is on your landing page that you have on our website. So if you haven't been there to check yourself out, please go familiarize yourself with that. It's important. We don't want only one person in your organization to have a login and only one person know what's going to make you fly with this contract, because it's going to, I don't want to say it's going to cripple your sales. It's just going to hinder it. The more educated your sales representatives are, and your inside sales reps and your administrative staff, when they get calls, the more educated they are, the better you're going to be able to work with all of your customers that call on prospective customers, right? So your best customer is the customer you have now. There could be some of these entities that fall into these categories I've been speaking to, and they've been working with you already, but now that you can offer them pricing through the co-op, you're going like, yeah, do I want to do that? Maybe I'm getting an extra 1 or 2% here and that. But look what you're doing. When you put them first, that builds trust. You say, we can offer you the same product, but now that we've been awarded this contract, not only is it a clean bill of health, so to speak, when you want to send out a PO, but you're also going to get the best price that we can offer. Isn't it worth it to give a little here to get continual business in the future? And not only that, word of mouth. People will know. They will turn around and say, you know, I've been working with them for years and they told me a better way. They helped me save money. That helped me grow. I'm going to tell 5 other people. And networking is one of the best ways, and particularly if you're building it on trust, that you're going to get repeat customers. And that's what it's all about. The other thing I'm going to say right now, because I just ran into this with one vendor we were dealing with, we do help. I'm in a marketing and client engagement division. I am half Choice Partners, half that. So my whole goal is to help support the members and the vendors so that we all get that win-win-win that Jeff had up there. It's important to share what you've got so that they can get what they need and what you need at the same time. So we just want to make sure that the flow of communication is good. Call me anytime. So if you have a customer or a potential customer that doesn't quite understand or wants to be a member, you can pick up my phone number. I'm listed on their website under contacts. I'll be listed right there and say, this lady can tell you to come. But it's also good for you to have your sales reps or your inside staff, whoever answers the phone, educated on how easy it is to become a member. I believe you asked the question, how long does it take? What's involved? It really is a matter of 30 seconds for some people. They fill out the form. If they're out of state, we actually have an area where they can click a box that says, I'm out of state and my entity does not require an interlocal. Bam, boom, they did it and they're done. They're in. That's how quick. And we've had a couple of people. Are there any vendors in here that are national? Okay, wonderful. I will tell you, we had one for those online, but I want to let you know that we have had some people from out of state sign up and go, I've got to get this. I've got to get this now because I've already been working with the vendor. No money, no funds can exchange hands, guys, until that member or that potential member has done the interlocal or marked that they don't need it. So please, you can meet with potential customers, but don't exchange funds. But as soon as they do, they can start running their POs through because they were trying to ramp up and get ready for school. So it's a great way. So start with who you have right now, offer them your new contract, explain to them how it's to their benefit, and then you can go down and it's members versus non-members. Yes, you can bring in new members. And that's where I was telling you we're available in our division. Also, almost anyone on the CP staff is knowledgeable on how to share with somebody if I'm a non-member, but I'm interested how to become a member. It's very easy. Christy has helped several of them just recently. We have a push card that we use at some of the conferences we go to, and she can just send them to them, gives them all the links and the how-to and the how to move forward, and it's a done deal. So it keeps your project moving forward. It keeps their project moving forward. So it's a save. Get referrals from existing members within the same organization. That's where I was talking about. You might start with purchasing, but you're going to go on to the other divisions, share your cards, share your knowledge. Don't just bring one booklet and leave it here at the front desk and walk out and think, oh, I made a sales call. We all know that when you're in sales, people have turnover, particularly in school districts. And right now in the summer, many have just switched to either a new school, retired, or they're on maybe FMLA from COVID. So you want to make sure that you do that dribble step, where you always drop on them and here's something new, here's something fresh. Let me tell you what else we got. And bring 2 or 3 of them when you have them printed up of your own flyers and our information. Drop one packet at transportation because he's not going to talk to the tech guy very often. Purchasing definitely needs everything that's fresh and current, but you might also want to run over to the curriculum department if you're somebody that offers that kind of product. It's a great way to get it started. Any one of the vendors in here that are already on the supply catalog, or if you're interested in becoming on the supply catalog, let me tell you how easy that is. The supply catalog isn't printed anymore. It is posted online, but only a member can see it. It's protected behind a member login. But once they go there, know that, teach your sales rep. Go to this button, click this button, and I'll show you that in a minute. And you can say, here's a download. And then they can see everything right there because the supply catalog has firm pricing in it. In other words, they'll see your pricing. It's expected to be 2 years. There might be mitigating circumstances. It might fluctuate a little, very rarely, but they can see that in advance. And that's another sales tool. The more you educate your customers and potential customers, the greater use of your contract you'll see. So can you collaborate with another choice partner awarded vendor? Got an idea? The answer is yes. It's okay for y'all to interact. So if you were somebody who did roofing products and you went to a site to do a pre-quote walkthrough, and you noticed that maybe they also needed something in another area. Maybe they needed to have a way to move some product from here to there, and they didn't have the vehicle to do it. You could tell your customer or potential customer, do you know you can use the same contract? They have a United Rentals contract, and I'm just pulling that as one of ours where you can rent vehicles. You can rent, lease, or buy through United Rentals on our contract. And look what they're going to say. They're going to come to you now as a source. You're somebody who's thinking about them and what's their best interest. Doesn't that gain confidence and trust? I mean, it's not like you're just in it for your own company. So yes, we do want y'all to collaborate. You could say, you could even call us, call your contract manager directly. And before you leave today, we'd like every vendor to meet with their contract manager. Get the name. If you can do face-to-face, I think they might all be here other than one. This is a good thing. You need a working relationship with them. And you can pick up the phone, call your contract manager and say, I've got this project. This is what I'm bringing to the table. I'm A, but they need a B or a C. Do you have anything like that? I'd be happy to share with them. And either we can do it or you can do it. But any way you look at it, the customer is going to go, I feel taken care of. I feel somebody's got my interests at heart and not just a one-time sale. So yes, we do suggest that. Any questions? Okay, don't want to bore anybody. This is what I want to tell you about the vendor login. Our website has a lot of information on it that you can learn without having to call every minute. We're here for you, but oftentimes you like to just let your fingers do the walking. So this login right here, this is just a screenshot of the website. And if we want, when I'm finished with all these screenshots, we can go to the web, but this is where you would go to log in. Now, as a vendor, the only login you have now is the one that whoever responded to your bid. So if you're not the one in your company who responded to the bid on the IronWave system, which requires you to set up an RFP, you can still have access, but do not use this where it says set up a new account. What you're going to need to do is go to your admin who did the response the first time and ask them to add you. So don't use set up a new account. That would be what we would do for a member, but not for vendors. So you just go to the one who did the original and set it up. Then when you do that, voila, this is where you get to go. I call this the backbone of the website for you as the vendor. We have your own dashboard. Now there's a mirror side of this for the member, and we'll get into that in a little bit because we like to educate you on what the member is going to see, because that's going to help you speak to them and be aware of what they can do and what they can see, so that's good for you. But on the vendor dashboard, you can see everything. We have some events and activities. Those will all be updated as we go. And you come down here and each one of these buttons, which you can probably read better on the handout that you have, are the things that you're going to use. So somebody here asked, here up at the front, where can I get a member list? So this is where you could get a member list. When you click on this, it will give you the state, the name, it'll give you the region and the type of customer they are, okay? It doesn't give contact information. We'll get to that a little later on how you can get contact information. But when this comes up, you can sort by any one of those categories. So if you go to where it says state and you just double click it, it automatically alphabetizes them. And then if you're selling only to Colorado or you're only selling to Texas, and then you want to see where in Texas, you know, it lets you drill down like that and you can pull it off. I was just talking to a potential member over in Washington, DC, and I had to let them know who was in their area. I used this same location and went there and pulled out, we had at least 4 or 5 just from DC itself. And then I pulled out from Maryland and from Virginia, you know, neighboring states. And I thought, man, we have this many here. We have 35 here. We have 29 there. They're all universities like you. It's a great tool. So you can start with that right there. And you can also print it, or you can download it as a PDF and then send it out to your sales staff so they can utilize it, or have them talk to the admin, get their own login, and then they have it when they're out on the road. Was that a question, sir? Just saying howdy? Oh, come on. I love it. So we have view vendors. It's going to be the same thing. Yes, sir. Yes, the question was, is there a list of vendors available? This button right here on the top left does say view vendors. So this is another way you can find if you wanted to collaborate with somebody. You also see who else was awarded in your same category. So it's out there. We're not hiding it. The reason I'd like to address that, because as a vendor, you kind of go, what? You know, I gave them some good numbers. You know, I should be that to them. You can be our go-to, but your go-to coverage might be in an area that won't work for someone else. So for a season, before we were national, that was several years ago, you look and think, what's going to work in Dalhart, way up in the Panhandle? isn't going to fly down in the valley. But y'all know, if y'all are Texans, y'all know it's kind of hard. So we also, now that we've gone national, it's the same thing. East Coast doesn't think like California, and y'all know that. It's just a fact, no offense to anyone, but everybody has their own needs and their own kind of procurement style. So that's why we multi-award vendors, if at all possible. They have to qualify and they have to meet our criteria. So don't think of it as competition as much as, well, I can't cover everything. As much as you'd love to, you can't be everything to all people. So that's why we multi-award. Yes, ma'am.
There are exceptions to that, particularly in technology, when cloud is everywhere, and that's, we're US-wide stuff, and we're based in Houston, Texas, because you keep, so there's definitely.
Because you can or can't?
CAN.
Can, because you can.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Because the technology allows you. to do
That is. But there's still, sometimes there's things that you might have in technology that another company doesn't, just a slight variance, because every 6 months technology seems to change. But for the purpose, like you said, being cloud-based, many are going to that. But there could be a slight technicality, what do you call it? A slight variation, or maybe an offering, because like we have e-readers, and e-readers, you call that in one lump sum. But I do believe there's different kinds of e-readers that they'll have maybe attributes that another one wouldn't. So that's it. So we're not trying to be detrimental or categorize any one vendor against another. It's just make sure it's a great offering of as many vendors to our members, because they all have different tastes.
I understand that in the technology world, each location wants to be like the mothership, or they may not want to.
Location, or are you talking about entity, like your company?
It could be a one-man thing at his house, it could be 500 people over here at this location, it could be 300 people, they're all using the same technology, so it can be tracked, cyber secure, et cetera, et cetera. And I don't mean to be difficult, I just want to say there are definitely exceptions to that rule, and there probably will be more and more all the time as we become more cloud driven.
Very good.
Yeah.
Oh, no problem. I just hope y'all could hear her answer, because I couldn't repeat that. She just said there's a lot of the sameness in technology, and it could be copied or replicated in multiple companies. Is that okay? Sir, you had a question?
Yes, is there a list of active contracts that we can see? Why I ask that is I know a lot of school districts are part of it, but specifically, the various school districts, their technology department, some of them will go the choice partner route. A lot of them want to do their own RFPs. And I don't want to market to those specific ISDs that want to do the RFP route. I want to market to the ones that are looking to pursue choice partner. They're kind of a place I can go to find active.
This place right here that says view vendors, that is our list of active awarded contracts. Now, as far as each individual entity being a desire of running their own RFPs as opposed to not, we do not have that list. And I will say this, that I know even some school districts, mid to large size or small, they might say for everything in this category, we are going to use a co-op. And I don't care how much we love you or how nice your pricing is, our board or somebody else has a burr in their saddle, or however you want to say it. They're going to run an RFP if they have to do construction or if they have to do something else. We can't control that. And that is the option of all members and potential members anywhere nationally. You can't force them to, but I would love to be able to give you that magic card, or it's just not there. And if they change management, sometimes it changes the flavor of how they purchase. So I think we kind of know that from purchasing, and that's the best answer I could give you right now. Anything else? Because this is good news for everybody to hear each other's thoughts. Was that a question, sir? Oh, okay. I wasn't sure. I wanted to go here. eBid button is what your administrator that responded to your RFP would use. And these are partner messages. But this right here says marketing resources. That's me. That's where you get Janet, because our marketing and client engagement division is in support of the vendors with choice partners. And there's some things you can get for free. It's included in what the small admin fee that you pay, but it can be very big and huge. So let's go over there. And what I wanted to show you, this is what, when you tap that button, you'll come to something like this. So you can see over here is the list of things that are always available. But right here, you can see in color for us online. I hope you can see it as well. These are some links to different things that we've created for you to be able to utilize in your sales. So we definitely gave you my phone number right here. So it just says HCDE, and that's me. We'll change this title here, no biggie. But that's the number that goes straight to my phone, and I'm there available to help you however we can. Now, if how many in here are not from Texas?
You mean originally or?
Now, your business, yes, now. So I'm not sure, excuse me, Joanne, online, is anybody popping in the chat box that they're not from Texas? Okay, so I want y'all to know that in the state of Texas, the Texas Education Agency divided our state into 20 regions, and they're called Education Service Centers. So that's ESC. That's what this map is right here. If you deal with a lot of ISDs, that's where you're going to get that, and that'll help you. If somebody says, well, I'm in region 10, I can't use you. And you go, oh, contraire, mon ami, and you tell them how they can. But there might be another co-op up there that they say, well, I have to use this or that. So that helps, sir, the question you asked about, can you tell me who will use a co-op and who won't? You know, sometimes that will help you. You'll see what region they're in. There are other co-ops out there, Jeff told you, and they're strong and robust. But, you know, it's sometimes a regional decision who they use. And again, they might use us a little bit here and the other one a bunch here, and then it can flip on something else. But that's a good place to go. And I just want you to understand, if you don't know what ESC, that term means. So even right here in Houston, there is an ESC Region 4 building just probably 2 or 3 miles from here. They're different than Harris County Department of Education. I like to describe us as an ESC on steroids because we have things that we can do for our member ISDs that they can't, but we do replicate some services. So it's just a good way to shop around. We do have this here that gives you tips on dealing with and selling to governmental entities. So that might be new for some of your sales staff. We are not B2B. It's done differently. Governments think different. Education areas think different. It was a switch for me to come from private sales to going into education and working with them. So that's a great thing to get to. And here you can also pick up the list of member entities here. So what I want to tell you about this link right here, it'll give you a printable version. Now in the folder that you have, we gave you a copy of members. That's only going to be good for 1 month because we add new members regularly. In fact, it's almost up to 5, sometimes 10 a day. I mean, 10 a week. So you want to keep current with that. If you do it here, you download it as PDF, you can shoot it out an email to your staff or keep it for yourself, keep it on your desktop and always relate to it. And then here, the same thing is for the vendor list. So I see you see become a featured vendor. We'll get to that in just a minute, but this marketing resource page, utilize that to help you grow your business. Now, some of the marketing that's required, this is not right readily there. I want you to know that we do require, and it's in your contract, that you have the CP seal on your homepage, preferably, but sometimes it's on a page or two different, but we need to have that. And I want you to note, this is what we call the seal. For y'all, when y'all have your graphic for your company, y'all call it a logo. We have another logo. I can't go over there. We have on our banner over here, you can see it's like a square or rectangle. I mean, that is not for y'all to use. That is strictly for us in marketing to use. But you can see on our pop-up here, and we put it in our branding here. The circle is y'all's, and please get it and use it. Put it on any marketing materials you make, or if you want to put it in your signature line, that just helps bring that notice to the attention of anyone you email. Oh, guess what? They're a member there. I'm going to check this out and see what I can do. It's also a requirement that you participate in conferences. And now that COVID has relaxed a lot, we understand 2020 was a big blip on the radar. You can go back to conferences. In fact, we're heading to TASB in September, and that's a big one in Texas. You are welcome to come anywhere we go, or you can go to your own conferences, but at least exhibit 5 times a year. And on your desk with you right there, I'm going to show you that we have this CP seal. It has a built-in stand on the back. We ask that you put this in your exhibit booth somewhere where it's prominent for people to say it's a good conversation starter. Thank you, sir. And it's what you use to identify yourself to your customers and potential customers. So if you need help developing a marketing plan, your company's going to be the best one to do that, but we wouldn't mind reviewing it and giving some ideas, giving some feedback. We can help you with that. Now, we do marketing as ads in magazines statewide for Choice. If you wanted to do a tandem ad with your company and Choice together, bring us that idea, what you're offering, what your budget is. We can tell you where we have some in place, or if you had something else in mind where we're not currently advertising, we can consider that and see how it would move forward. We're more than happy to do these kind of things together. And then targeted emails. That's where you yourself want to market your company, and that's where we can really be beneficial to you. I'm going to get into that a little later, so I want to do it line upon line. So you're on the marketing resource page, and I'm sitting here telling you, you must have the seal, and you're going, where do I get it? Just go further down on that same page, and it says download the Choice Partner Seal. You'll get it as a JPEG or a PDF. If you need it in an EPS file, I can do these kind of things for you. If you need it black and white, we can do that as well. Normally, we're going to have you, somebody said howdy, we're going to do it in color because it's branding that people will recognize over and over, okay? And now, becoming a featured vendor. What that means is every month, Choice Partners has a newsletter. And if, is there anybody in here that's an existing vendor? No one's existing. Okay. I was hoping maybe somebody had seen it. What it is done is we have something we digitally send out monthly to all our members and our vendors. And if you want to be a featured vendor, that means you're the lead story. You supply pictures, you give me people to interview. You've been in good standing as far as your reporting of your usage, your sales usage to CP and your contract manager, and you have talked and you can be recommended. It'll be approved by CP administration. So they're going to, you know, if you're brand new and you've only got one sale out of 2 years, we might say, let us help you grow or go do some more marketing or get a few more customers. We have to have you have a pretty good base so that when we interview your customers, they can tell us this worked for us, or this is how they came through, or, you know, we had a flood and they came in and we had carpet within a week after we asked them to show up. We want to get some pictures of that. Let me tell you what this does for you. You don't pay for it over and above your administration fee, but it gets you worldwide recognition because we post it on our website and our website is worldwide. Yeah, come on, Janet. Okay, but think about it. The lady just told us technology is everywhere, cloud is everywhere. So you're going to have potential customers and current customers go, oh, look what they did for them. That's exactly what I needed. And you didn't have to run a TV ad or a radio ad, and you know how much those cost. So it goes on and on like that. So this is a very big event that costs you nothing extra. We are more than willing to do that with you, but you do have to have a history that we can vet and make sure that it's something our co-op can stand behind and say, we want this to get out there and get known. Don't hesitate to ask. We can put you in a queue that would say, come back to me in 3 to 6 months. I've got a couple of projects I'm closing. I've got the pictures coming, but recognize that I would like to speak to your customers myself. I'll do my own interview. It's not a grilling. We're not there to tear you apart. We are there to find whatever I can that will build you up. We'll write the story. You can see the story, but then it does go out to all our vendors and members. And I think the combined list is well over 5,000. So right there, you're being shared. And then also it'll be posted on the website. So it will be seen by anybody who comes visiting and looking. Okay, any questions on that? That's a big tool. We'd like to get more input and more requests from our vendors because we love being able to do that for you. Now, this is back to the member contact list that I told you was really important for you. This is where you can do any kind of campaign, phone campaign, email campaign, or snail mail, if y'all still want to mail something out. So what you'll be able to do is contact your contract manager, and that's why I said it's important before you go to know that person. Ask them for the link. It's a digital, everything's digital. So what we're going to do, she will give you the link, but they're going to go to your website and confirm a few things. They want to make sure the CP seal, the round, is on your website and that it links back to your landing page. Not just to Choice Partners. And we tell you this because it's to your benefit. We talked about having multiple awards in one category. Well, if it just links back to Choice Partners and they Google, "Oh, I think I'm looking for a bunch of roofers." We have well over 13 roofers, probably almost 20 more now, but I'm just saying, you don't want it to go to your competition. You want it to go to you, correct? So get your own landing page. That's why I say, get out there, get your login and go see what we say about you. On your own landing page, it gives a description. If you don't like it, or you want to beef it up, or you have something new to add, get with your contract manager and say, "I've got new verbiage. Can you load this up for me?" So they're going to check those two things, and then they're going to give you the link and say, "This has all been approved. Here it comes." Then on that form, you fill out the contact, what you want. You have your options to choose. Do you want just Texas, or do you want national? Do you want just technology, or do you want technology and purchasing and maybe business contacts? You can break it all down. You have many options. So we'll do that. But what you must include is your marketing collateral. Don't just say, "I want a list," and expect us to give it to you, because we do want to see how you speak to your contract and speak about Choice. And I'll tell you, it isn't a matter of restraining you or refining what you have. It's mostly making sure that you speak with the right verbiage about yourselves. I've had some vendors that are new, all excited, ready to go with it. And we love that enthusiasm, but they called themselves, "I'm a new member, come use me." And I'm like, "No, sweetie, I'm sorry. You are a vendor. Let's represent that, you know?" So it's that kind of thing that we look for. You are going to speak about your product. You're going to define it. You're going to have your graphics, your pictures. That's all y'all. What I do is look for how you speak about Choice. Okay. So it's a really good partnership. Again, no extra cost, and you can use it for 3 different campaigns. I would say, because I had this question yesterday, "Well, thank you for approving this one, but I'm going to do some more a couple of months down the road. Do I have to send it to you?" I go, "You don't have to, but I'd be happy to review it for you. But let me tell you, you might want to request another list." I would say biannually, like every 6 months. You might do it if you do enough marketing quarterly, but that's because we have that many new members, and we try and update our database so that it gets refreshed as people move jobs or quit or retire. Okay. So you're always getting the freshest database. And again, has anyone in here been in marketing ever tried to purchase a list? Those puppies are expensive. So we're telling you, we're trying to do that part for you, and it's part of your contract, and we'd love to have it be available to you. Any questions about that? That I will say this, that in the last 6 months to 12 months, we've had a great uptick in vendors requesting these lists to do marketing, and it's been beneficial. So, but I do want to just lay the groundwork. When you get this contract, it's not going to have people come knocking at your door right away. Let's just talk to this, and Jeff has done this a couple of times. I want to share with you that we don't do cold calls for you. We don't always do warm sales. If we have a member call us and ask, "Do you know anybody in my area that does this?" then Joanne or your contract manager might say, "Well, I can show you 2 or 3 in your area, you know?" But it's up to you and your sales team to reach out to market the contract to help them. We're going to support you every way we can, but it is a co-op. We represent all our vendors, so we don't favor one over the other. We do know who's in their area. We can help that way. So we just want you to think that just because you're awarded, all of a sudden 10,000 calls are going to happen every week, and you're going to say, "Oh, look at this." It still takes what you normally do, and that's going out and doing your sales. Now, I want to go over briefly what you see on a member side. And this way you'll feel, you know how it says sometimes, what is it? Know your friends, but keep your enemies closer, or something like that. It's not that it's an enemy. A member is a potential customer to you. So you want to know more about them so that they can utilize our website quicker and get to you faster. That's what it's all about. They have the same login y'all do, where they come down here. If you go to somebody and you say, "Did you know you're a member?" Like maybe you're in transportation, but only purchasing knew that they were a member. So you go to transportation. "I've already shared with purchasing they're a member and their benefits. Are you aware of that?" And they go like, "No, what's up?" And you say, "Because the district has already signed the interlocal and you're a member, you can get your own login right here at set up a new account. And you can go in and you can research any of our vendors that might have the equipment or the products and services that you're looking for. So you want to take the time to educate your outside sales reps, even those on the phone, if somebody calls, how easy it is to register for an already member. This isn't to become a member. We want to show that too, but this is to have a member utilize it. This is the member dashboard. Again, looks very similar to your vendor dashboard. This is one thing I want to share with you. They could get a list of vendors and they can download the list here. They don't download member lists, but they get a list of vendors here. They can do it here where they can sync through it and click on them. They can access the supply catalog immediately, but this right here, this get a quote function is going to be a direct hotline to you with either a warm to hot lead. And that's what you would be interested in.
How is that done? How is that process? So that they are looking for X, they put that in, and then you guys have that set up in your database that anybody who sells that in that area gets that, or how does that work?
I will show you in just a minute. I think I have actually, no, ma'am. Where did I put that? It's in, may I take that when we go to our website? And I will show you because it actually has it broken down. Exactly. Now in your packages right there, you see a list of current awarded contracts, right? There you'll see maroon titles. Those are the subcategories of contracts we have. So when they hit, let's go back here. When they hit get a quote, it goes up and says what type of contract. It mirrors exactly what that page is. Here, let me see. May I borrow your package, sir? Do you have it out? Nope, that's the member list. We need the vendor list. Did they get a copy of the vendor list in their packet? Okay, all righty. Well, you can go get it online. My apologies. So what you will do is they will pick from a category and say maybe they need to get a refrigerator. I've used this several times. They will pick food and cafeteria supplies, or they'll pick the supplies. Then it goes down, and once you click that, the system automatically drills down and only lists the categories under that. So there might be like food and food supplies, food services, food repair, and then something else. So they'll click that. And when they click that, again, the system automatically distills from the list of all vendors, only those vendors awarded in the categories they chose. So it's like 1, 2, 3 for them and they're done. Then underneath it is a big box that says, describe what you want. And so they'll say, as a Choice Partner member, please provide me a quote according to your Choice Partner contract. Sometimes they put that all in there, sometimes they don't. But you should get the email from our system, which would tell you. And the reason I accentuate that is that some estimators will automatically quote on some other contract and not on Choice. Just make sure if you get a lead from the Choice website that you quote according to your Choice contract. We realize you might be awarded in other areas. I won't even speak of them. But if you get ours, then you quote from ours because that's what they're expecting and they know that they're covered as a member. And then underneath that, it'll have their contact information. And so it'll also give you a place where they can put in a date and a name. Let me see if I can do this real quick. Stephen, stand by just in case. I'm going to go here to the website and I want to show you a picture because I don't want it to be confusing. Ta-da. Oh, yay. We'll just use Christy. Oh, it says it doesn't exist. Okay. I can't even get it. Oh. It's a very good tool that all our members have said have saved them time and money, as you talked about before, but it also made it simpler to. Well, I tried that. Let me see. Okay. Go back here. I was looking forward. Let me go to, oh, here we go. It was past the second one. Here. I thought I had it. Okay. And let me go to this just a second so you can see clear. All righty. So right up here, the top box, you can either search by an alphabet and then you'll pick a category and then you come here it drops down, and this is where the system distills out the vendors in those categories. They put their product service of what they need. They fill out their contact information. Here is where they actually put when they want that product or service in-house. Over here, if they want to, they can upload pictures of what they want, or if they have specifications, they've been shopping for something already, they can put it up there and they can just say here, quote, according to specifications attached. When it hits submit, then that's when it goes to you. So that's how you would find out. If they didn't select your company, you won't get one. But if they selected your company, then it's a warm to hot lead, I would say, and you want to follow up. In your contract, I believe it states that you should respond within 48 hours. So whoever you listed on your landing page as your contact, there's emails on your landing page, then that's who you want to look at this, because they need to be able to see it every day. We've had some vendors go, I never got it. And we go, it went to that address. If that person doesn't work there anymore, then it's on you as a vendor to contact your contract manager and update your page. Okay, so this is really a good thing. Now we get a copy of it in-house so we can support it if they have a question. Any other questions about that? That's a really nice tool. Yes, sir.
Do you guys know or have an idea of how much revenue goes through this process? How much business is done this way through your website?
I would like to say I would defer that to our director, our assistant director. The question was how much business with Choice Partners goes through the get a quote function.
It's very hard to say that because the quotes come in and we do not have a copy of whether a PO was established from that contract or from that get a quote. So in other words, whenever it comes in, we get the documentation of it, but we don't ever get the final result of it. You're the one that gets the final result. So I don't, when I get all these POs, I don't go back and look in the get a quote system to see if a PO was made from it. Does that make sense?
Closure comes from you.
Huh?
I say closure comes from the vendor.
Yes.
Okay, but it's not identified on that on your reporting. So I wanted to let you know, this is what a landing page looks like, your very own. We just happen to choose this company. It has your website. It has your CP contract manager. So this is one way you can find out, and this is how your members find out. So our members can contact us. They can contact you directly, whichever they want to do. Why I have this slide up here is I want you to notice the due diligence, and I told you that in the very beginning. We make it very transparent so that there is no concern when they get audited, that they can see everything there that it took to run the RFP. Also, I wanted to show you now that we list, I asked you to do the contract asked you to do 5 or more exhibits. We have an event called event page, shows you where we're going. You can get ideas from that, or you can use your own. All right. Now, you can train yourself and your sales staff by reading our FAQs. We have different categories in our FAQs, and instead of just saying, oh, boring, it really is a great way to familiarize yourself with selling to governmental entities, some of the details that would be answers to questions you might get from potential customers. All righty. And this is just another way to show you. This is like, this company ended up having 3 contacts. The very first one that's listed is the one that's going to receive the get a quote. So that's the email I'm telling you. If that person has changed, no longer goes, or they fall asleep at the desk every day and aren't watching their emails, you could miss that hot lead that came through. Just make sure that that's current and who you want to be. All right. And this is where I was telling you, we have staff contact information. Everybody's listed. Their name turns into an email, or there's their phone number. All right. And all of this is online. Okay. So there's just a couple takeaways and I'm done, Jeff. We want to review the vendor dashboard, go in there, familiarize yourself with it, familiarize yourself with the marketing resources page that comes from the dashboard, and then learn how to show a member how to get a login ID. When you can help facilitate that, that gets them into looking at Choice Partners in your contract sooner. And remember, if you want a list of contacts, you go through your contract manager to get the link, but make sure your website's up to date and you have marketing collateral. And last but not least, if you are not a construction vendor, this is probably where we would like you to stop and just take our survey. So the survey link is going to be dropped in the chat box. Otherwise, in front of you, there are table tents that have the QR code. If you just use your phone, the survey will come up and we'd like to hear from you. Any questions? Thank you very much for your time.
At this time, we're going to go ahead and take a 5-minute break. So you can go ahead and complete your survey, and then we'll be right back.
All right, wonderful. People at home, please let us know if you can hear me or if I need to move my mic around. We're wrapping up conversations and then we're going to go ahead and get started. Get into this PowerPoint. All right. All right. I guess it's wonderful. All right. Good morning, everyone. How are y'all doing? This presentation is going to be on job order contracting. Whether you're a trade jock or a full-blown construction, this covers, maintenance, HVAC, roofing, whatever. If that's not the contract you hold, you do not have to stay for this piece of it, okay? If you want to, you're more than welcome, but it's not required. My name is Stephen Kendrick. I'm Senior Manager of Facilities Planning here at Harris County Department of Education. To give you a little bit of history about me, I actually worked for a general contractor for 9 years. And then I went over to the school district side. I worked for a school district in their maintenance and operations department, worked my way up. I then went to work for Choice Partners on the purchasing side of construction and promoted up to where I am now. So I've actually gotten to sit in everyone's seat that's a part of that relationship at some point in my career. A couple things that I'm going to talk about today is like, why jock? There's a lot of members, there's a lot of vendors where jock is like that 4-letter word, right? Some people are scared of it. They don't really understand it. I'm going to go into why that's the contracting method we use. Maintenance versus construction. So for some of you, you have a maintenance component and a construction component. And I'm going to kind of go over the parameters as to how to determine which part of that contract you need to use for that project. Some of the concepts, trade jock is fairly new. The way the state of Texas interpreted things, single trades that are performing construction services still have to have a construction contract. For those that are out of state viewing this, this may not be a requirement in your state. You may be able to just job order contracting, and trades may be able to do time and material all day long. But here in Texas, if you're performing construction services, regardless of single trade or all trades, you have to have a construction contract. And now I'm going to tell you how to legally use this contract. So that you understand, Choice Partners does have a compliance specialist. The members can send in the quotes that you provide them. And this is true not just for construction, but anyone, and say, hey, are we getting the pricing that was bid to y'all? Does this follow the terms and conditions of your contract? I'm going to show you what that review process looks like a little bit later in a later slide. And what we look for so that you're aware of it and it doesn't catch you off guard if it does happen. So why does legal compliance matter? And I'm not going to jump too deep into this because Steve already hit on this pretty hard in the beginning. But the deal is basically that different procurement rules apply depending on the type of procurement, okay? So construction law is completely different than commodity purchasing law. Does that make sense? And so different rules apply depending on what service you're providing. If they're not properly procured, they can become voided or unenforceable. There's criminal penalties that can be associated with those. It can delay your projects, jeopardize your budgets, things like that. So time and materials. If you're a trade contractor, this is probably where your comfort zone is. This is where you probably have your own rate sheets, your hourly rates, your percent markup. The problem is that in the state of Texas, they have very narrowly defined what constitutes maintenance for a governmental entity. And I'm going to show you what that is here in a little bit, which means that almost everything jumps over to job order contracting, which is construction. Job order contracting is the only construction delivery method for local governments that can be what they call IDIQ, indefinite delivery, indefinite quantity. That means at the time the bid was done, there was no scope of work. They're getting pricing today for those projects that they don't know about yet, but that they want to do next week, next month, next year on. It's a lot of times used as an emergency contract. They don't have 4 to 6 months to bid it out. Something comes up and they got to get it done now. They're able to jump on a job order contract and knock it out. Make sense? Clear as mud? So if you're providing construction services, as I stated, you're not allowed to use time and materials. You have to use job order contracting if it's an IDIQ contract. The IDIQ job contract is the only construction contract permissible in Texas for construction through a cooperative. Okay, so if you're on a co-op, for those that are out of state, yes, I know there's some that have design build or something else, but those are not legal in the state of Texas. Okay. So what is job order contracting? Our statutes actually have 2 definitions, depending on if you're working with a university or any other government. They're almost identical. And what the one that applies to most people is this. It's a procurement method used for maintenance, repair, renovation, remediation, or minor construction of a facility. And that's a key word there, of a facility. Okay, so of a building. That does not include civil construction. Make sense? It's not horizontal construction. That's excluded from job order contracting. When the work is of a reoccurring nature, but the delivery times, types, and quantities are indefinite. Okay, we did the contract today so that any of our members can use it in the future with you. We don't know what those projects were at the time we did them. We had no scope of work. We didn't give you prevailing wages because we don't know what they are for each member. So factors to consider. And this is one of the biggest problems that we have, especially when we're using federal funds. Okay, so the first one is like for like. So when I'm trying to determine if it's maintenance or construction, the first thing I got to consider is, am I doing a like for like replacement? OSHA defined like for like as not new or upgraded. So if I have a 300-ton train chiller and I'm going to replace it with a like for like 300-ton train chiller, can I do it as maintenance under time and material? And the answer is no. That new train chiller that's 25 years newer technology is more efficient, probably has controls associated with it, different software, right? We have to bring everything up to new energy code. It's over $8,000. So any governmental entity doing mechanical or electrical is supposed to get the project engineered. You got to bring it up to new building codes. Okay, it's not considered like for like maintenance. The second thing you take a look at is scale and complexity of the project. And then the third one is the physical size of the object being worked on. And so here I like to give the example of a roof, right? If I've got a little storage shed, maybe it's a 10 by 10, I keep my lawn equipment in it, and I'm going to replace it, half that roof. It's like for like, scale and complexity is very low, physical size of the object being worked on is low. I can probably get away with procuring that as maintenance, time, and material. Now I'm going to take that exact same scenario, but I'm going to apply it to a 500,000 square foot high school. Again, I'm going back with like for like, exact same roofing system, but my scale and complexity just increased dramatically. Now I've got curbs I've got to mop in. I've got drain lines. I have flashing. There's so much more involved. It's over 20,000, so I know I'm supposed to get it engineered again, right? Because the law says anything that's not mechanical or electrical over 20,000 has to be engineered. And obviously, 500,000 square feet, the physical size of the object being worked on is much greater, okay? That's construction. This has to be made on a case-by-case basis. This really needs to be made by the member. I can tell you most of the members aren't making this decision. If they reach out to us and we see a very large project going time and material, we will make them aware of it. But at the end of the day, it is always their decision. If you notice on the bottom of almost all of my slides, I reference exactly where I'm getting this information from. So if you want to know more about it, or you just want to read it for yourself to verify what I'm telling you, I put my references at the bottom of every slide. You can go look it up very easily. All right, so the win-win-win with Choice Partners. I know Jeff already hit on this a little bit. I'm going to kind of explain it more from a construction standpoint. So Choice Partners is actually Harris County Department of Education. That's our governmental entity. State of Texas says we can share each other's contracts through an interlocal agreement. So all of our current members have signed that interlocal agreement. It's in place. They can use anything we have. A new member just has to print out the form online. It becomes effective upon first signature. So the second the person with their entity with signature authority signs it, you can start using it. We'll handle the rest on our end at a later board date, but they can go ahead and go right to work. Then what we do is based on those members' needs, we issue RFPs or CSPs for services, construction, commodities, whatever it is they need. And we award contracts based on best value. All of you were vetted, and y'all are vetted on price, your experience, your references, and we determined that every one of you was best value, not low bid. Now you can go work directly with that CP member. You do not have to involve Choice Partners in that, okay? Now here's the deal. Most vendors will go negotiate a deal with the member, but they never ask about the contracting method. How do you want me to price this out? So if they say, hey, give me a bid, and you give them one, and then they come back, and now that they have your number, they say, okay, well, we got to put this on a co-op. What happens? And I'm going to tell you what happens. Either one, you eat the fee of the co-op, or two, you tell them, well, that's my number plus 2%. Except that that's not what you bid to the co-op. You didn't bid your number plus 2%. You bid straight numbers that said it included your percentage. See the issue? You need to know how to price the job up front. You need to have that open line of communication. And that's true of all co-ops. It's not just Choice Partners. If they ask you to put it on buy board or tips, there's still fees associated. You're still on the hook if they issue you a PO, even if you don't know that they reference that cooperative contract. The second you accept it and go to work, you have agreed to the cooperative terms, any co-op. This conversation just helps prevent you from getting caught off guard. We've had it happen several times, and we always work through it. Don't think the Choice Partners won't work with you. They will, but then they expect you to do it right going forwards. For job order contracting specifically, the law states that it's got to be a single document signed by both parties. This actually went to court. What happened is that the judge said, where's the contract? And the client said, well, we've got their proposal and we have our purchase order and we put the two together and that's the contract. And the judge said, I see a proposal with one party signature and I see a PO with another party signature, but construction law requires you to have a single document with both party signatures, and I don't see that. This is not a contract for this type of work. Does that make sense? They defined what a contract is specific to construction statute. It does not apply to supplies or service or commodities, but it does to construction. The contract is not the purchase order. That's a guaranteed pay. They guarantee they're going to pay you, but it's not a contract, and especially not specific to the job. So here's the deal. Are they going to have liquidated damages? Is there retainage? How many of them give you prevailing wages up front when they ask for that quote? What's the start date or the completion date? Do they have special insurance or COVID requirements? Choice Partners contracts do not cover any of this. Okay, this is all supposed to be negotiated between you and your client and put in a supplemental contractor agreement or a master services agreement. Jocks procured by purchasing cooperatives. I'm not going to go into great detail on this because I've actually covered a lot of this, but when using a co-op, any co-op with job order contracting, the only thing that they have done is satisfied that legal procurement. Okay, so that means they advertised on the street for a minimum of 2 weeks. They collected the responses. They got an evaluation team together to evaluate it. They made a recommendation to their board of directors, and their board of directors awarded if they agreed with it. That's it. But the contracting piece is project specific. You know, some people choose to use an AIA document. Others have a master services agreement. Doesn't matter what it is, but it should be scope specific. So what is a jock estimate? There's a misconception. Most people think that a jock estimate is just a lump sum figure. I'm going to do this X, Y, and Z for $20,000. The issue there is that the statute states it's a lump sum price substantially based on unit pricing and the vendor's bid coefficient. When you provide a lump sum, is there any way to verify that it's substantially based on unit price book? Is there any way to know if you applied your legally bid coefficient? Because that's the only thing you bid, right? There's no way to verify that pricing. So anytime you do a lump sum estimate, there should be a line item estimate included with it using one of the named unit price books in the contract. Choice Partners has named 4 on their contracts, which is RS Means, Craftsman National Construction Cost Estimator, Xactimate, and then if you're working out in California, Sierra West for K through 12. You can use any of those 4. Your member client may or may not have a preference. Most of them are familiar with Xactimate or RS Means. The estimate should always contain the contract number, okay? What you have to understand, most people say, well, the job was under 50,000, so I don't need a contract. But that's not what the law states. The law states 50,000 in the aggregate for all like services. So if you're performing construction for 25,000 and they have already procured 30,000 through another vendor, it's over 50. It has to be legally procured. You have no way of tracking that. But just know that they're likely, if they send a quote without a contract number on it to their purchasing department, there's going to be a good chance that they're going to throw a cooperative number on it. They're going to look your name up and find out who you're with. Line item assessment based on the unit price book. You localize it by applying the city cost index. Okay, so unit price books are based on national average. And then you can localize that data for where the work is being performed. So you select United States, Texas, and then you can select Houston, 77, I don't know what it is, 770 to 772. We're not so worried about the word Houston as we are those first 3 digits of that zip code, okay? So the perfect example is the unit price book says Galveston 775. But I know that 775 is also LaPorte. I know that 775 is also Baytown. So I'm not so worried about that city as I am those first 3 digits. And then all subcontractor pricing must also follow the unit price book. So if I've got a roofing project and I'm a roofer and I line out all the roofing line items. But then I've got a little bit of electrical and a little bit of plumbing. I can't say plumbing subcontractor cost plus 30%. That's not how that works. There's plumbing line items in the unit price book. There's electrical line items in the unit price book. You're expected to follow the unit price book unless it's truly a non-pre-priced line item. I'm not going to go into great depth on that. The contract has language. I want to say it's in section 6.3 that covers non-pre-priced line items. My best advice is avoid them at all costs. There's a lot of extra documentation and paperwork involved in them. Let me see if I can make this a little bit larger. This is an example of what a line item could look like. It also, oh, come on. A little bit better, still kind of fuzzy. This PowerPoint will be made available to y'all. Should be uploaded to our website, I believe. When you go to Choice Partners, About Us, Presentations, and then they'll have it where you can download it. But the key things here are the data release. This estimate says 2019 Q2. So if somebody sent this to Choice Partners, we'd say we're in 2021 Q2. Y'all need to update that. The quantity, how many of each line item are you using? Line item number, it's a 12-digit number. It follows CSI master format. Your client or Choice Partners should be able to type that 12-digit number into RS Means and verify that line item to ensure that it hasn't been manipulated. Make sense? It gives a description of what's included in that line. Anything not in that line is another line item. Okay, don't assume it's included. If it's not listed in the description, it's not included. It gives a unit of measure. Choice Partners contracts, if you're using RS Means, we've specified that it's right-hand means. That means total with overhead and profit pricing column. The other unit price books don't have that, so it's just the total column times your coefficient. Your labor type, that's another thing we look at. We did not specify what labor type you're using, but if it says user, we know it's been manipulated in some way. Data release should always be the most current at the time they requested the estimate or quote. City cost index location, this is what it looks like. Hey, I was right. And then the notes section, and this note section is super critical, especially when dealing with federal funds. Okay, so if the line item is close to what you're providing, but not exact, you should provide a note specifying what it is you're providing. Your quantities. You may have an waste factor calculated in. You may be doing multiple coats. So like if you're painting a 10 by 10 wall, but they want 3 quotes or they want primer plus 2 coats, you would show them that you took their square footage and their number and you multiplied it for 3 coats. When dealing with FEMA, they want to know where each line item is being applied and how much. So you may say 70% went to the high school, 30% went to the field house, or 20% went to the field house, 10% went to the chiller yard. And you break it up that way and you do it all in the note section for their audit. Once you get to the bottom, you end up with the subtotal. And this is where you apply your coefficient to either increase or decrease the pricing of the unit price book. For those of you that don't understand what a coefficient is, it's a multiplier, or it's the opposite of a percent off. So the unit price book coefficient is based on 1.0. If you bid a 1.0, you are going to charge them exactly what that unit price book states. If you bid a 0.90, you're going to discount that pricing by 10%. And if you bid a 1.10, you're going to increase the pricing by 10%. Make sense? Clear as mud? Then after that, you can add in any pass-through costs such as bonding or permitting. Choice Partners does not charge a fee on the total job. They charge a fee on total job minus bonding, permitting, Those types of pass-through costs that you don't mark up. The estimating software does have line items that you can add to it for those, but understand then the coefficient gets applied to it. You can do it after the fact and exclude it from that coefficient. Make sense? That's in your best interest. I don't care how you do it, but that's in your best interest. And then you get your total project quote. Please understand these prices are not to exceed. So what that means is you can never increase your coefficient, but your client can always negotiate further down from your price if they so choose, or they may negotiate the line items or the quantities. Okay, that's a relationship that you build with them when y'all get on the same page. I'm going to tell you, I see it happening less and less. It happens a lot in universities. I don't see it happening a whole lot anywhere else. But don't let it catch you off guard if it does happen. All right, I clicked on this, and now it's not letting me. Oh, you're good. Understood. So review the JOC quote. Here is what we teach members to review. Here is what we will review if they send it to us, so that, again, this doesn't catch you off guard, okay? We do not get into the scope and spec. We are not getting into your quantities. We are not going to tell you that you're using the wrong line item unless it should have been included in your coefficient. If you go to the definition section of the contract, it's in section 1.0. We define what's included in that coefficient. It says things like project manager, field superintendent, cell phones, computers, trucks, office overhead. If I see separate line items for that, you may be asked to remove them. Okay. There is some extenuating circumstances where the member can provide a letter stating that they're asking for something that goes beyond what's customary for their project. Perfect example is if they put project manager, but then out next to it, they say fire watch. We're having to, and then the member says, yes, we need additional people out here because we're having to take our fire alarm system offline. So there are extenuating circumstances where it is permissible, but customary
Can you ask phone number 9982 to mute themselves, please?
Okay. We currently have someone online that's not muted. If you could please, last digits are 99, what'd you say? 9982. If you could please mute yourself. Of course, if you have a question you need to ask, please type it into the chat box and we'll address it. So we're going to review the city cost index. Did you localize it for the job is being performed? Not the location of your office, but the location of the job site. The coefficient, did you first apply a coefficient? And if you did you apply the correct one? So typically you have a regular hours and an after hours coefficient. We do take a look at that. O&P pricing. The key there is, did you use the pricing column named in the contract? So if you're using RS means, that's your overhead and profit. If it's Craftsman, it's your total column. Data release is the most recent. Non-pre-priced line items, we do look at those. And then if you did create a non-pre-priced line item, then we ask for the free quotes to substantiate that pricing. We verify that the percent markup was what you bid. We have to go into that whole calculation. It's not just cost plus whatever you feel like that day. And it does require 3 quotes, or your client has to determine that what you're providing is truly sole source. And they'll probably ask for a sole source affidavit. There are times when that is necessary, but I can tell you it's very few and far between. Attempts to pass through the cooperative fee. Anytime the cooperative fee is listed on any piece of paperwork whatsoever, that member can come back to you and ask you to discount your proposal by that percent that you listed. And that's true of every co-op I know of in the state of Texas. Okay, they all make you agree that the cooperative fee is included in the pricing you bid. So you should never add an additional percentage onto your total. Division 1, as I stated before, the definition of coefficient is in section 1 of our contract. It basically says which sections of division or lines in Division 1 are included. If you bill a second time for those, it looks like you're billing for it in the coefficient and you're billing for it in the line item. And we'll ask you to remove those. Many of our members, our larger members, they're aware of this and they'll ask you to remove them as well. And then adjustment factors. We're not going to get into whether or not those adjustment factors apply to that scope of work. We simply make the member aware that they're there. And then they can determine whether or not they're applicable. Clear as mud? So you know proactively, if you're just getting this contract and you're really not sure how to use it, we do provide RS Means trainings on how to truly do an estimate. We'll typically help you create your first estimate or two. You can always send us an estimate and we'll review it before you send it to your member, especially if you know that that member is going to send it to us anyways. And we'll do that. I mean, we want to work with you. We do not want it to be overburdensome or complex. Whatever we can do to help you. All right, I've already kind of talked about this, so I'm not going to go over it for the sake of time. But what I am going to hit on is this, and this really applies to the state of Texas. For those of you outside of the state of Texas, it's very different. But inside of the state of Texas, they have determined that the bid or proposal was the formal, written, sealed response that satisfied state procurement. That's it. It's a coefficient against a unit price book. That's all you bid. And they have determined that the member can go out and get as many quotes as they want using bid pricing. So they're not rebidding you because they're not asking you to rebid your coefficient. They're asking you to give them a job-specific quote based on the pricing you bid. And they allow that in Texas. I understand that's not how JOC was designed. I understand that's not how it works in other states. But here in the state of Texas, that's how it works. So if they bring out 3 vendors to get 3 quotes, that's perfectly legal. They do not consider that recompeting because they're not competing you on your
You're still going on this thing. I'm going to sign off
And
when you're
actually,
ready.
depending on the funding source, there's a lot of federal grants out there now that are requiring 3 quotes.
I'm moving this forward.
And so depending on the funding source, they may legally actually be required to get 3. I know FEMA's requiring it. I
Yeah,
know
thank you.
TDA is
It was just like
requiring
6
it.
of them left.
They're still trying to figure out some of the other federal grants.
Huh? I don't know, but
Final
I'm kind of
thoughts.
getting hungry.
You know, if I can't hammer
Getting
anything
hungry?
else home, make sure you know what pricing to use when you're pricing out a project. You know, don't let them catch you off guard by coming back after you've given them your price and saying, oh, hey, by the way, now we got to run this through a co-op. Put the contract number on both the quote and the PO. We ask you to report monthly. This finishes the procurement process, okay? So the deal there is if your client gets audited and we have no record of it, we cannot verify that they actually used our contract. If there's no paper trail, it didn't happen as far as we're concerned. Make sense? So when you submit your reporting to us and you let us know that contract's being used with that member, it completes that procurement circle for them to protect them in that audit. And that's true of all cooperatives. That's not just Choice Partners as well. The procurement process is the same no matter who the governmental entity is. We ask that we receive a confirming copy of each PO issued and then the monthly reporting. And this is my other thing. I'm not an attorney and I'm not giving legal advice. You know, I would always do whatever the member advises you to do. If they tell you to do it, they're the ones that are taking on that legal liability and responsibility, not you. So at the end of the day, there may be some varying opinions. Questions? There's a lot of information, pretty overwhelming. I see a lot of blank faces. Couple of smirks. No questions? Mhm. Sure. So if there are no questions that you want to ask out loud, or you would like more information, but you don't want to do it in front of the live audience, okay? Please feel free to reach out to your contract manager at any time. We can set up meetings with you one-on-one. We can set up a training session for your staff. Whatever your needs are, feel free to reach out to your contract manager. If you don't know who that is, you can go to the choicepartners.org website, go to the About Us tab. It has everybody listed. If you call anyone in that list, they can look up and tell you who your contract manager is and get you to the right person. Anything else? Landing page, if they log in. Yeah, you can also log in if you have your, okay. Yeah, just, let's see. Yeah. So here's the survey for the JOC portion of the presentation. Please scan it and answer that. Tell me what I did good. Tell me what I did bad. Let me know how I can improve for you. Thank you.
Since a whole bunch of you in the audience are on that new JOC contract, I want you to know I'm the Assistant Director, Joanne Nichols. Michael Robles is actually your contract manager for that new JOC. Michael is out on FMLA. Hopefully, he'll be back in a couple of weeks. And once he does, he will take over that contract management. But until then, you've got me or myself or Monique Joseph, who will be more than happy to help you with any questions that you may have, go through any amount of training and learning and whatever you may need until we get Michael back, okay? Any questions from any of those vendors? Perfect.
Jeff, you want to come close this out? Right.
All right. We are a few minutes over, but I think we're fairly close to our scheduled time. I want to thank everybody, not only for showing up in person. Again, it was great to see faces and talk to people face to face, and also participating online, virtual. I know Joanne said we had comments. You mentioned a number of states from California, Pennsylvania, Vermont. So there was a lot of good chat going on. I guess, Joanne, I might ask one thing. Is there anything that just stuck out? Questions that maybe the live audience? No? Okay. Okay. All right. So hopefully, in a very timely manner, Joanne was able to address a lot of the things online. Here in person, hope we had a lot of good dialogue, a lot of good questions. And as you could see, sometimes we were rushing towards the end. We actually had the conversation about starting earlier or whatever, just to get, we were trying to get so much information into such a little amount of time. I don't want this to be the beginning, just take this and go home. Like I said at the very beginning, our one purpose here is to let us help you increase your business, increase your penetration into our member base, all the governmental entities we talked about, not-for-profits, things like that across the country. One of the things I wanted to expound on just a little bit, the question was about adding new members and things like that. Just having talked to a lot of the other co-ops, and we find it also, a lot of our new members come from you guys out there talking to somebody that's not already a member. Don't let that even discourage you or dissuade you whatsoever. A lot of the stuff, even within the state of Texas and especially outside the state of Texas, comes from someone having a conversation. And like a couple of different people have expounded on it. Our attorney specifically wrote language into our interlocal agreement. Remember that little triangle thing, the government to government interlocal agreement. And I think it's even like Article 1 right there that says, or states something to the effect, this agreement becomes effective upon first signature. So the first time someone that's qualified on their side signs it, that date, if you get it signed in the morning, you can ship them product or start your construction work in the afternoon. So it's literally that simple. So, and then you send it to us and it goes to prepare for all the board stuff. So don't let that be a discouragement whatsoever. Oh, these guys aren't on Choice Partners. We want that existing list to continue growing at the rapid pace it is, but we don't want that to be a limiting factor. So anyway, I think, I mean, a lot of the questions were great. I think a lot of the pieces, I'm very biased, but Janet, Stephen, Steve, everyone, Tricia did a tremendous job. And I want to thank you all for coming. And please, unless if you've got to go, that's perfectly fine. If you have questions, stay around, ask the contract manager, ask me, Stephen, Joanne. We're not going anywhere anytime soon. So that's in person. And please, in virtual, I think one of the things is our contract managers are all willing to work with you, willing to go in depth, detail, set up a Zoom. They're very simple nowadays, as everybody knows. Since COVID, everybody's very, very good at that kind of stuff now. This is what our second or third kind of dual technology in person and virtual, and I think we're getting some of the bugs worked out. So if we had a few hiccups, we apologize, but we're getting better all the time. Anyway, with that, unless there are other questions right now, I just want to say thank you very much. We've had a great crowd, a lot of good comments, a lot of good. I saw Joanne typing feverishly a lot of the time, a lot of good chat online, and just please reach out to us. We can't, that contract is not a guarantee. We call it a hunting license or a fishing license. It's kind of your entree into talking to these people, talking to our members. There's no guarantee, but when you reach out to us and ask us for help, that's where we come in. Let us help you. That's all we're here for, and hopefully we do a good job and you keep coming back to us. So have a good day, and thank you very much for coming.